Hello and welcome to this review of my Focus FK-747A. I got this keyboard off of someone in the community, considering it was already in great condition, about 8 out of 10, and even comes with the original box. I got it for a not cheap but still very reasonable price a few months ago. I've since restored it a bit and it's now 9 to 10 out of 10 as well. It's the second to last entrant in the Blue Alps shootout video I've got planned. I finally got the last entrant in recently as well, so it should be out as a kind of TDXL video in the near future. It's closely related to the FK-727, of which I reviewed an Omron model years ago. Now, this one's an Alps model, but there are quite a few differences between these two anyway, even though they superficially look identical. I'll be showing the 727 at quite a few points in this video, so in a way you can also regard this as a part redux of the 727. So this is a zeroth generation Focus keyboard from before they started making their more well-known first gen of keyboards such as the FK-2001. At this point Focus still appears to have been struggling with their identity a little bit, hence why I called it the zeroth generation. Focus would later expand to be a rather large player on the keyboard battlefield, but these older boards are nowhere near as common. This board stems from before they started making Northgate Omni keys. How long they kept on doing so, or whether another party took over, isn't 100% certain, but it's beyond question that they were at least involved with part of the manufacture of the earliest Northgate Omni key models. Personally, I think Focus probably kept on making Northgate keyboards for a long time, and indeed there are quite a few parallels between Gold Badge Omni keys and the 727. They have the same textured beige painted metal back panel, the same rubber shod flip-out feet with a cable hook at the base, the same ATXT switch including identical stickers for them, identical serial number and quality control inspection stickers, and at some point the Northgates even use the same Focus style back labels. The shared DNA between these two is very obvious when you look close enough, really. The 747, however, is a bit of a different kettle of fish. It uses a matte black rather than a droplet textured beige back panel instead, and the stickers and markings are completely different. It's also got a black cable instead of a beige one, and the feet are unshod, and it's quite sparingly marked actually. The most telling piece of info might be the tiny golden Made in Taiwan sticker. The PCB is also much more sparsely decorated. Normally Focus are somewhat detailed with model numbers and stuff on their PCB, but this one just shows the Focus logo plus FK-727, FK-747 on it, which suggests to me that the two keyboards are so similar that they use the same PCB base, at least for a while. The 727 I own uses the more elaborate style of PCB markings, but the other one didn't really tell me that much. In fact, until I discovered a rogue FK-747A marking on the front of the PCB, hidden behind the spacebar under the stabilizer hole of all places, I had no idea whether this was actually a 747 or a 727. It's not really held by the box either, which has 727 markings all over it. It's in the serial number, for example, and someone wrote 727 on it in pen as well. However, while the board in the picture on the box looks at first to be the same board as this one, it appears to be the box of a different keyboard because the serial number on it doesn't match that on the board, and upon closer inspection, the model in the picture uses a different type of keycap. So 747 it is then. The box is rather generically titled, typically for Western-oriented Asian-made keyboards of the time. It barely has anything in terms of description, not even a manufacturer name or anything. Oftentimes keyboards like this would just read computer keyboard or enhanced keyboard or something like that, and then nothing else. In this case, the description can almost be considered to be detailed with intelligent keyboard as the model and professional manufacturer of keyboard as the OEM. Focus was great at putting English phrases on their boxes, so this one's not too bad actually. Now, one thing that had me in a twist a little bit is the question of whether these black-backed boards are simply an earlier design than the beige-backed ones, and my gut feeling says that it is because they used this style for their later keyboards as well. However, as much as I looked, I simply couldn't get hold of enough detailed data to make any presentable case for this or any other theory really, so the truth is, I just don't know. In fact, due to how sparse and especially ambiguous the data available online is, I couldn't even figure out what the difference between the 727 and the 747 is, or whether these two are particularly representative cases for each of these models. So, as much as I'd like to present another Focus history lesson like with the FK-555, this one's still an enigma to me. There's several different versions of these boards anyway. I even found a model with stepped keycaps and completely different markings. This appears to be the version that's actually shown on the box. And because some of them are so ambiguously marked 727 and 747 at the same time, trying to work out a trend without more detailed data is basically impossible. In fact, there are a lot of these AT Model F clones from Asia that look extremely similar, and I tend to confuse them constantly, so just to leave myself a little mental note here so I can look it up again if I ever need to, these 6 are the most easy to confuse: the Focus FK-727, FK-747, the Chicone 5160AT, the Taihao TH-5150, the SKB 5150C, and the OEM Max MCK-840. The OEM Max and the Chicone can be easily distinguished by the Locklite sticker alone, and the rest by the caps. The Focuses use Alps type ones, while the Taihao and SKB use Cherry type caps. The Taihao additionally uses a different numpad layout. The Focuses could come with blue Alps or Omrons. The Chicone is probably the oldest because it could come with green Alps or blue ones, but also Omrons, Futaba MA, Matsumi Miniature, and even Cherry MX Blue. The OEM Max Blue Alps, the Taihao those Katano hybrid switchblade switches, and the SKB uses both Key World Cherry MX Black clones as well as those Pro World Cherry Alps hybrids. So now if you ever see one of these again, this is how you can distinguish them. You'll note that even the F key strip, which will remain a hallmark of Focus for a long time, was also on the Taihao and SKB keyboards. I guess it was for writing shortcut keys on, but the boxes are so tiny, I'm not sure how much good they would have done, to be honest, especially as they're not actually above the F keys. Focus later gave much more generous and changeable F key strips on their FK5001 and FK9000 keyboards when they started putting more and more features on their keyboards. Unfortunately, as time progressed, they put more features on their boards, but the switches became progressively worse, and the build quality degraded over time as well. Being 0th gen, that means that while this has virtually no features on it, it does have really nice switches, Blue Alps, the Beethovens of keyboard land, and it does have excellent build quality. Steel back panel and a fairly rugged plastic top cover held to the assembly with screws in brass screw sockets, which I'm always a big fan of, and a metal mounting plate. Nice! The case is reasonably thick, not super massive or anything, but just like with an OmniKey, it's held so close to the back panel and stretched so tautly and with relatively little headroom that it's very well protected by the metal. Let me show you a little bit more concretely what I mean by that. One of my OmniKeys that I got at the recycling center years ago, which was in pretty rough shape, is an excellent example of what I mean by that last point. This board appears to have been dropped several times, including at least on 2 different corners, and as you can see here, it was hard enough to slightly bend the metal, so it wasn't a tiny distance or anything because it's plate steel of over 1 millimeter thick and really not easy to bend. See, I can't even deform it like this. But as a result of how closely the plate and the case are held together, the plastic on this corner only suffered a minor breakage, and on the other corner, which is also bent, so that also suffered a fall, the plastic is damaged even less. Very impressive. The relatively low height of the case, which is one of those banana-shaped Bigfoot type jobbies, except in AT size, should be less vulnerable to damage than roomier plastic cases as well, although this does of course have an impact on the sound. Similarly, shorter cases sound differently from wider cases. I'll let you judge that for yourself. More on that in another video as promised. Anyway, at 1.4 kilos, it's fairly heavy for an AT-sized keyboard. It's exactly the same weight as the 727 I own, actually, even though that's an Omron model. Definitely enough for it to function as a murder weapon then, but with a -1 range modifier compared to a full size and -2 compared to a battleship, so keep that in mind for zombie apocalypses or alien invasions. The keycaps are typical for Focus 0th gen keyboards. They have a very specific shape with a vertical skirt at the bottom and a unique inside pattern. They're quite cubic looking in a way and are made out of ABS and use what appears to be silk screened printing. Silk screening is possibly even less durable than pad printing, and predictably, as a result, several of the keycaps have damage to their legends where it's faded a bit. Some 727s and 747s also came with skirtless silk screened caps, or even those stepped ones I showed a sec ago. The layout is standard 84 key AT, which takes some getting used to, but isn't the end of the world really. The biggest flaws of it, in my opinion, are that it is missing the F11 and F12 keys, as they weren't invented yet. I'd have preferred it if the numpad had the arrow keys in an inverted T arrangement rather than a cross, and has got a tiny backspace key, something Focus would later fix on all their boards, a layout that has since become eponymous with them. By the way, an interesting notion is that while Focus did file an FCC ID for the FK-727, they didn't for the 747, but what's even weirder is that there is an FCC entry for a Focus FK-737, which is a model I've never even heard of or can find anything about. Anyway, although it might still be a bit of a historical mystery, it's a very nice board with excellent build quality and switches. The caps are pretty crap, but they sound good at least, and it's definitely a good looking board too in my opinion. That's it for this review. Thank you for watching, I hope you enjoyed it, and following is a typing demonstration of me typing on this keyboard.